Let's do this thing.
Long time coming to have him on.
I know. I'm hyped, dude.
Episode 23, baby. It's a big number, man. It's awesome.
Braun.
Yeah. It's Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's MJ, true.
LeBron James.
All right, boys.
MJ's nice with it.
All right. I'll start this. We good?
Let's do it.
I am Jacob Wurtz.
And I am Jacob Gabel.
And this is the Untapped Podcast.
Let's go.
What's going on, man? How we doing?
We're good, bro. We're good. It's kind of weird filming on a Friday, although I do like it because we're both really open today. So,
yeah. We're normally record Thursday, guys, and then release it Thursday night, and then that way it's up Friday morning. But today we're going to record and post on the same day, so not that it's like that big of a deal for us, but
for a reason you guys can probably guess from our stories by now.
Right. We have something very exciting in store for you guys. It's been a long time coming too. We've kind of behind the scenes been trying to plan out this episode specifically for quite some time, and you know, when you bring guests on, like, it can be hard to match up schedules and whatnot. That's usually what happens.
Well, and you and I want the in-person experience with the guests too a lot of the time.
Exactly.
We've been kind of pretty adamant on that so far. Again, we'll probably in the future maybe try out like the phone call in, but
if needed.
But for right now, we really like the in-person.
Right, and like we've mentioned, we have a lot of international viewers or listeners too, which is actually pretty sick. Totally unexpected.
Awesome. Yeah.
But you know, who knows? If we connect with someone on the other side of the world, it's not like they're going to be coming to St. Louis to record for us. We're not that big yet.
Talking negative to me.
Right. But anyway, guys, it's been a long time coming. We've been hinting at this for a few days now on our Instagram stories. And, you know, we were able to take this guy through a little workout this morning, took him down to my work and whatnot, and we're really excited. So we have our good friend, Mr. Sam James, on the show today. Sam, it's a pleasure to have you, man. How we doing?
I appreciate it, man. It's a long time coming, as you said. I'm very happy to be just in this element with you guys.
Yeah.
I've been kind of in the background just hearing you guys and everything upstairs, and I'm just happy to see, like, be in this moment right now.
Yeah,
so I'm hyped.
You got to see the whole process of the setup, and afterwards you'll see the process of editing and whatnot, and the annoyances that come with that, as Gable and I know very, very well. But yeah, man, no, we're pumped to have you here. So let's start at the beginning, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a 22-year-old mechanic right now. Cool. Just doing my thing. I'm going to be moving to Tulsa, Oklahoma, in a couple days now. And
that's crazy, man.
Yeah, no, I'm petrified. I'm so terrified right now.
It's exciting though, you know.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, new change and everything, new city. But you know, anyway, just start with high school, I guess. As far as
high school, college, sports, all that kind of stuff.
High school ran cross country, and then played lacrosse as well. I'm a huge lacrosse guy. It's like my bread and butter for the most part. And then to stay in shape, cross country was kind of that little side bit for me. Then got a concussion. I've had concussion problems my whole career, basically.
From lacrosse, or
okay, so one really bad one was from a bouncy house.
Oh wow!
That's tough. You should have kept that one under wraps.
You should have just said, totally lacrosse, bro.
That's justified.
I decked a guy in lacrosse, and I was the one that suffered.
That's what I would have said.
It's bad. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I was, 7th grade, I think, and me and my buddy just kind of collided heads, and I blacked out for a little bit, and
dang, dude,
it was all good.
Did he get one too?
No. So he's just kind of a meatball. Like he's a goon. We'll say, he's just a goon. So it just kind of didn't faze him at all.
Bounced off. Good.
I was just kind of, on the floor,
tweaking on the floor a little bit.
Kind of messed me up. But the other ones from lacrosse, and then I was basically my whole freshman, sophomore year. Then junior year played football, was kicker.
Okay.
Nothing fancy.
I actually did not know that. Yeah, that's news to me. Yeah, I did not know that.
I enjoyed it. I was practice team All-American. We'll just say that. Nothing crazy. And then just played lacrosse senior year and everything. Didn't really look into going into college to play lacrosse.
Yeah. Where'd you go to high school?
Webster Groves High School here in St. Louis.
Okay, cool.
And I enjoyed it and everything. Wouldn't trade it for anything, but just lacrosse in college just wasn't my thing. Then I went to tech school for a semester and just kind of did my thing for a semester. Jake knows about kind of like mental issues, so I just kind of got out of there because it just was not just a bad situation for me. And then transferred up to Ferris State University up in Michigan, studying automotive management, and was on the club lacrosse team there.
Okay.
Was doing fun stuff with that, part of a fraternity, just the regular college life that I kind of was longing for at State Tech. Population of 200 people or something.
Oh wow!
So
wow,
really nothing going on there.
Yeah.
I think you were either home or somewhere every single weekend.
Yeah,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah. And that was part of the whole thing. You know, there's it's a small rural town of Missouri, and I was a 18-year-old kid at the time. Like, I want to see some college girls. Like, that's just what it is. I'm sorry, but so I said, you know what, I got to get out of here. Now it wasn't all girls, but I had to get out of there. So
yeah. No, that's fair, man. Talk about, like, have you always been a guy that's been in the gym? Has that not really been a big part of your life? Is it now? Like, talk about that a little bit. As far as high school and college.
Yeah. High school, I mean, you did your regular like weight training with a coach or whatever occasionally.
Right.
Never really was a big training guy at all.
Okay.
As far as I think senior year, me and my buddy like tried to go into the gym a bunch early before school. It kind of just died out.
Yeah.
So never really part of the gym or anything. And then just recently, probably I think started kind of last year with COVID, like post-COVID.
Yeah.
Working out with this guy.
Last 6 months or so have been like maybe last 8 months or so have been like kind of the time. I'd say it would picked up the most.
The main focus.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just one of the things. Going back to one of your early episodes, you said like, can you look in the mirror and be like, are you okay with this?
You're right.
And it just hit me one day. I'm like, I'm fat, bro. Like, and I mean, to some people, I might not be fat or whatever, but it was just one of those things where, I gotta fix this. Like, I'm not comfortable in my body, and I just want to be, the confidence. Like, confidence is a huge thing.
Yeah.
And we're in our coming prime years, so just wanted to look good, feel good, and everything.
Absolutely. And I'm, as like all of you listeners know, Sam, as you know, like I'm a guy that comes from that heavy set side of the spectrum. So like I get that so much. That's where I get a lot of my self-confidence issues is, I'm not that guy anymore, but I still look in the mirror and that's the guy I see, which can be healthy but can also be unhealthy. It can create, I can almost create issues in my head that aren't actually there, and that could be detrimental to, just myself, our business relationships, my other relationships. Like, it can be tough. So like I get it, and that's a very hard thing for people to do, to, as I said in that episode that you're referencing, take all your clothes off and stand there in front of the mirror and be like, can I be okay with this? Or am I okay with this? And in that setting, you will know if you're lying to yourself. 100%.
I mean, it's the most vulnerable setting you can possibly have as a person, Like, I mean, you're seeing everything, literally.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, like, am I picking up on, whether my love handles are this way or something like that? Maybe my belly fat's a little bit too much, that type of stuff. And I mean, you're not gonna miss anything.
No.
I mean, on my end, it's like like my arms literally look like twigs. Like that was me back in the day. But I mean, yeah, you're right. It's the most vulnerable situation you can possibly put yourself in.
It is.
So,
and you are the only one that can put yourself in that situation, which makes it the hard thing to do. But anyway, so that's cool. You're coming from an athletic, a sports background, just like us. You fit right in there and whatnot. How did you two meet?
So, I guess, what was that? 7 years ago now? 8 years ago now?
Yeah. 8 years after.
I guess we were. I mean, I'll let you lead into this too, but we were probably. I was probably 16, I think, and you were 15. If I remember correctly.
You were driving.
Yep. And exactly. Yeah, go from there. I'll let you take that.
So we're both part of the crossing here locally. Okay. And just met at a camp. It was a summer camp and everything. I had kind of like a group of friends that I was hanging out with, and Jacob being a year older, he had his kind of group or whatever.
Sure.
I think
we ended up in the same cabin.
Yes, because I think I was like, my Fenn campus was a little smaller, so like I got moved to where they were at, Chesterfield.
Gotcha. That's huge. For anyone that doesn't know, the Crossing is a Christian non-denominational church here in St. Louis. Yeah, and it's grown a lot.
It has 4 locations, right?
4
now.
4 locations.
Chesterfield was the first one?
Chesterfield was the first one.
Okay,
well, the first one was apparently like in the YMCA or something like that.
Oh, wow.
A little room.
Just like a group.
Then it eventually grew
actual
to
building.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yep.
Very cool.
But
continue.
We just kind of started just hanging out from there. And then I think Jacob was eyeing some of the girls I was hanging out with, and it just kind of...
I don't know what you're talking about.
just kind of formed up like that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great friendship. It's, you have your uphills, you got your downhills. It's but he's always been the guy that I can be like, hey, like I need some help.
Yeah,
and he's there. So, you don't find too many of those good friends.
Absolutely.
Like now in this day, like everyone's backstabbing each other from behind the back, and
dude,
it just it's good to have just, you know, a reliable guy. Like,
Sure.
I hate sounding cheesy right now, but he's that guy.
When it comes to communication, though, sometimes it's, you know.
Well, either I'm asleep or I'm, just being lazy. Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, I would agree 100% with his qualities there. Like, it's one of your best, Gable, and like I've talked about a lot of that on camera here and on the podcast, but also privately. You know, we talk about that all the time, and it really is. It's a great thing to have. You know, in one person, or if you're lucky enough to have a few, like that's even better. You know, and it's important, especially as dudes. You know, we've talked so much about men's mental health, and like that's a big base to have. You know, it's a really good base to have and whatnot.
I guess I have a couple quick questions for you.
Yeah.
Kind of not back to back, but I'll like ask one and then we can go to the other. But first one was going back to like the athletics and whatnot, and you and I have kind of talked about this recently. How hard is it, like, not like in the first place you said you weren't really looking to play college lacrosse and whatnot, and with kicker and whatnot, I know you were really talented in that area, but you started pretty late, and that kind of threw everything off of you going any farther with that. How has that been, kind of, you know, taking your identity from the athletic side of things and putting it into something else, you know, whether that's business, whatever it is, whether it's your mechanic, that type of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with that is, like, we were born competitors. I know that can go for all of us. So the biggest thing with that was kind of transferring out of that was, you know, I kind of had to accept that and just kind of move on from that. Sure. But as far as, like, putting that in my regular everyday life, like, I'm just a competitive person. Like, you know, as far as me being a mechanic, like, nothing glorious about it, but, like, I want to be the best mechanic I can possibly be. Like, I want to make as much money as I can, want to provide for, you know, people around me. And if I'm just kind of tinkering along, like, you're just not going to get there at all. You're not going to
go anywhere.
And that's on every aspect of your life, you know, with business, you know, whatever you guys are doing at all.
Right.
Across the board. Like, if you're not trying to be the best you can be, there's no point.
What's the point?
There's no point at all.
Exactly. What was your other question?
So my second one was related to more the business side of things now. So for those of you that don't know, Sam is the owner and creator of Louder Lifted, the brand. We're all, you know,
all three of us have shirts on.
we ended up like Wurtz and Sam were wearing the same shirt, so that was pretty funny. But then I was like, let's plan this and like kind of, you know, have a little style going on. But my question there is kind of, how is that going? Where are you, like, what direction do you want to take that? Do you want to continue with that? And that type of stuff.
So I guess the main thing for me is started in 2019 and just kind of started as kind of like an Instagram page that I could post other people on, their builds, their trucks, their cars, whatever. Always been a pretty much of a gearhead, as Jacob probably can attest to that. And it just kind of wanted to form into, like, how can I make money at this? Because growing up, I was always watching YouTube videos about just different YouTubers, like, building their cars, going to car events and everything. I'm like, that's something I would, like, love to do. And just, you know, they're making money out of it. Like, so I'm like, how can I get that? How can I do something like that? So I just, you know, started sharing pictures of people's builds. Finally got some merch out, doing a couple merch lines with that, and then did a couple giveaways, because there was a time where I thought giveaways was just, like, going to be the main money-making aspect of things.
A really good way to get attention.
And then
they're a pretty functional way to get attention, for sure.
And I think that is one thing that, looking back, is how I started, I regret in some ways.
Like doing it off the rip, like right at the beginning.
Off the rip, because, like, you know, I'm going to praise you guys right now, but, like, you guys have, like, and I told you this the other day, like, just a solid, like, backing of people. Like, you're getting a lot of content interactions and everything. You know, following might not be to where you guys want it to be, and I know it will get there 100%. But it's just one of those things where I wish I started differently, like, just trying to more have that interaction instead of just
And those little things are what all of us as young entrepreneurs, and we'll get into that more too, but those little things are what we learn. And not that you made a mistake by doing that, or that we made a mistake by not doing it. It's just you tried something and you're like, okay, maybe this wasn't the best way to start out. Now I know, like, I don't have to only rely on giveaways. Or, like, for us, you know, we don't only have to rely on doing videos that we set up the camera on a tree to get attention. But no, like, we can do something more sustainable, like a podcast. You know, like, so you learn those little subtle things inside your own business and inside your own relationship that aren't necessarily mistakes, but it'll carry you forward, because you know when and when not to do those types of things.
Well, and I'm happy that, we're pretty close now. Especially, I'm happy that this relationship has grown.
Right.
But since we're both entrepreneurs, us three, all of us, we can just kind of pick each other's brains on stuff. We have, like, you guys will pick my brain about merch.
Yeah.
And, it's good to just kind of have that foundation, because I don't really have anyone that is an entrepreneur as a friend. So it's like, how can I talk to someone about what I'm dealing with?
Right.
Because we both have a lot of the same problems in certain aspects, for sure. I know we're completely different, brands and fitness and automotive, but like we have a lot of the same issues.
Right.
And I think it's good to, have that fallback on it. So it's nice to have you guys, for sure.
And all three of us, even with him and I being in the same one, all three of us are going to see different problems in a different way.
Yep.
Yes.
So you guys will see something different than me, and then I can be like, oh, you know what? I didn't really realize it from that point of view. Like, that makes sense. That's not actually as big of a deal as I thought. Or the same thing goes for you. You guys in any combination of that. And I agree. That's huge. It's been huge for us. We hope to think it's been huge for you too, and like we love that. It's awesome. Why mechanic? Where I wanted to ask that before we got into louder lifting. Go into that, but why become a mechanic? You said you were a gearhead growing up and whatnot, but what kind of pushed you to that?
I guess I was just always tinkering with everything. In my high school, so we'll do a little side note going kind of back to like my whole starting point.
Sure.
And I think it was kind of a big deciding factor for me in high school was I could either go private school with my brother. There's a lot of private schools here, and then I could go to public school where there was an automotive shop. I kind of had that in my head, like, hey, like, I think I want to like work with cars, so I just kind of chose the automotive route, and then took shop classes and everything.
Yeah.
And everyone was pushing like, oh, let's go to Ford University, let's go to Mizzou, whatever.
Yeah.
And I know now that Ford University is not for everyone.
Right.
And so that's what I was thinking, and it was tough. It really was tough. Like, having people like, oh, like he's going to State Tech, like he's just going to be a mechanic.
Right.
Or like, oh, like that's, what are you going to do? Like that's not a plan. That's just something else. It just hurt growing up because like not all my friends, but there was definitely certain people that were like, mechanic, like Sam, like
almost scoff at it.
Yeah. Like Sam, like why a mechanic? Like your dad's a white collar guy. Like what? Why not do business or something? And my dad has always said, do something you love, and you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
So like, why not do something I love and hone on my craft and get better and everything, and then hopefully my end goal for sure, make a ton of money.
Yeah, right.
So it was just one of those big things where I wanted to do something that was going to make me happy.
Yeah.
And so mechanics was that. And there's going to be your bad days, there's going to be your good days and everything. But I definitely am happy with the choice I made to become a mechanic and kind of take a zigzag route up there. But
we know all about that too. It's a confusing, it's a scary route, but I think we all know like that end is going to be pretty sweet.
Oh yeah.
And not that there's really an end number or end goal, but that end goal is always changing, of course.
Sure.
But we all know how awesome it's going to be when that happens, because we're all really driven people. We work hard and we care about what we're doing. It's the same thing for us. We love making people better physically, mentally. Like, we love helping people through their struggles, all that kind of stuff. Well, how can we find a way to make that our work?
How to mesh that together
exactly.
and make it our work. Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's not even about the money for any of us. Yep. It's about doing something we love, like your dad says. Do something you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life. That couldn't be truer. Think about professional athletes. They all love their sport. And again, they're going to have their struggles and their highs and their lows and all that stuff, but they all say, like, I don't have to work. I get to play a game for a living. That's pretty awesome. For us, like, we get to make people better. That's our calling. That's our life. That's pretty awesome. We're not going to have to work a day in our life. Again, there's going to be days that are harder, and there's going to be days that are harder for you, but it makes it worth it because it's something you care about, it's something you want to do, And
I think that you guys can definitely attest to this. Like, we are both, well, all three of us are obsessed with what we do.
Absolutely.
Like, you guys, like, geek out about, like, just the little stuff. Like, today I felt bad for asking both you guys for help on, like, the kettlebell and everything.
Sure, which is dumb. Yeah. Like, shouldn't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah, but like
you're a big apologizer when it comes to this stuff. It's like, Sam, like, come on, dude, we love doing this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I was like, I kind of had to step back. I'm like, what, these guys? This is what
they're
doing.
What we do.
So
exactly.
I didn't feel bad like after that, like calling on for help. But
sure.
It just, I know that you guys and then me too. Like, we're just obsessed with what we do.
Yeah.
fitness, auto, whatever.
Right.
And like I see that in you guys too. Like, it's awesome. So.
Yeah. Well, and like going to that specific example too, it also gives him and I an opportunity to kind of test ourselves. Like, okay, he's not quite getting our cues that we're talking about. So how can we like slow this down some and try a different way? And like we did, you know. And luckily, like my boss happened to be there too, so he was even helping and whatnot too. But it also tests us and like in our abilities, you know.
Yep. I mean, we used some funny analogies today for sure.
Yeah, we did.
But a lot of the times, like that's what comes down to a lot of the fitness moves because some of them look really funny. I mean, we talked about some like the hip movements and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
They look just like really like kind of questionable and whatnot sometimes.
Right.
But that's the thing is like that's the fun part in it is the cueing and whatnot that comes along with it. Because in turn, seeing somebody's eyes light up when they get a movement, I'm like, I know that feeling myself when I got that down, but it's also like, oh, that's really cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like, that's something that's awesome. And we also get a good laugh out of it because it's a kettlebell swing, and those of you that know what that movement looks like can understand where the laughs come from.
It's a little funny there's tons of stretches. Same thing. It's like, it's like, man, I feel like exposed right now. You know? Right? But it's the same thing, you know. Not only does it test us, but we understand fitness lingo and we understand personal training lingo and that kind of stuff. You understand automotive lingo that we're not going to. So you would have to dumb some things down for us to understand. You know, and we'd probably be like, man, like we feel stupid. And in the end, you'd be like, dude, you're good. I went to school for this. Totally I work in this. Yes. Like I do this every day. I want to do this every day. So there's no apology needed there.
Well, I think you made a really good point, Sam, about you talked about being obsessed with what you do. I always like feel bad for people that I see that really don't seem to enjoy their job. Like I always thought like, I mean, look, like, do I want to be like really successful, make a lot of money? But like, I also don't in turn want to be super unhappy doing it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so, why not fight for something that I really love? Because usually, what happens is the people that do what they love also end up making the most money in the long run. Yeah. At first, it might not be that way. At first, for sure, like my end, I can speak for myself. Like, it's not crazy right now. You know what I mean? I'm not flying in private jets or anything like that. But the long-term goal we talked about, I think being obsessed with what you do is so important because genuinely, I want to enjoy going to work. I want to enjoy being able to set up this podcast and whatnot. If it was a chore, like there's no way I would do it. No shot.
No.
And it's just, I don't know why people put themselves through that. It's hard to put myself in that mindset a lot of times. But
well, I'll tell you why. Yeah. I mean, the way our society's set up here in America is you graduate high school, you go to a 4-year school, you get your degree, you start a job, you have a career, family, you retire, you die.
Yep.
Like, especially here in the Midwest. Because, you know, on the coasts, there's a little bit more, like, opportunities for...
dreamer mentality.
Just different things. Different mentalities, all kind of stuff. But especially here in St. Louis and just in the Midwest, if you're not, like, farming or something like that, like a family farm or something like that, a family business, you go to school, you get a degree, and you go that path. And I think that's why a lot of people are like, you know, do I really enjoy doing this? You know, I'm 60, 100 plus grand in debt from loans that you're paying all your whole life. And it's like, do I even like this? Do I care about this? Or am I just here chasing a paycheck? Well, we're going to be over here on the other side, all three of us. Like, man, like I can't wait to wake up tomorrow to go to work.
Yep.
You know, even after having a long day at the gym or the shop or, you know, whatever it might be, you know, we're going to look forward to that because it's a new opportunity. But if you work in just this mundane career, it's just gonna be the same every day.
Yeah, and that's different. Like that, and Wurtz is saying, you mentioned the loans and whatnot, guys. It's important to understand that, you know, I've met, like, for example, a chiropractor, like multiple chiropractors, obviously in our line of work, physical therapists, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a big differentiation with those who understand they're putting themselves in high level debt, but they also are doing it because they're passionate about it. There's a huge differentiation there. If you're passionate about what you do, go ahead, take that debt on, because in turn you're going to enjoy that, and that debt you're going to be able to pay that off like that because you're going to be enjoying what you do.
Right.
There's a different story there.
Right.
But for those that are just kind of doing it just because they, you know, they think that's the right thing to do, it's like, you know, consider other options.
Right.
You know, I get it. Like a lot of people's parents, like they really want them to just finish school and whatnot. I've met people that it's like, after you finish your 4-year degree, you can do what you want or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. But still, while you're there in school, make time for, you know, like an hour or something like that every day, or maybe like a few hours a week or whatnot.
Right.
To look into stuff that you really enjoy and you're passionate about, and start looking at things to, you know, change things up possibly.
Yeah.
For when you get out of school, or even when you're in school and whatnot, that type of stuff. So.
Well, and like someone like a chiropractor or someone in our field, like with fitness, the way that debt will go away even quicker is if you show genuine care for helping those people, your clients, your customers, whatever. That's references, and that's like leaving a good impression on people.
Yep.
So then you get even more clients and customers and all that kind of stuff, and that all just feeds into being able to pay off that debt and stuff. But if you're just someone who is not excited about, you know, someone else coming in or someone new coming in, or you're not excited about helping this person through whatever it might be, they're going to be gone after you know, a week, you know, or they're never going to come back, that kind of thing. So, yeah, 100%. If you can just show that care, it's a never-ending cycle that you'll be able to get through, you know.
Definitely.
And passion will bring the clients to the because
yeah.
it's all worth like automotive specifically. Like, you know, you got your old guys working on cars and everything. Nowadays, there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
And people will only go to the old guys and just kind of have them work on everything. So me being the young guy trying to do lift kits and everything, it was a whole like, you know, hill that I had to climb to get over, because the first client I had to do a lift kit on, it was hard to grab just because I don't want this 22-year-old kid doing a lift kit. Like, right. So you got to like really be passionate about your work, and then the word of mouth just wildfire.
Spreads. Yeah, exactly. So sticking with that, kind of going back to louder lifted some, but talk about your long-term wants and goals of louder lifted. Like, what's the future look like for LOL?
I love that. Okay,
little drop.
So I think definitely the long game would be just have my own shop and just be nationwide, world-renowned brand.
Okay.
Just doing lift kits, doing anything aftermarket on cars, because as in the name, louder lifted. So I just want to have anything souped up, and I just love seeing, you know, cars driving by that are souped up, and I'm just getting geeked out and everything.
Dude,
so it just, I think, you know, I love working on automotive and just aftermarket stuff specifically. So that would definitely be the end game, just seeing my brands out there on just a regular truck, like Rocky Ridge truck. I don't know if you guys have heard of those. It's like they're like an outfitter. They just do 6-inch lift and then have like Rocky Ridge branding all over.
Okay.
It's definitely something I would want to get into more. I was blessed to have the opportunity to lift a couple vehicles at my dealership I used to work at.
That was sweet.
And so I did, I think, 2. And I was the first time seeing my truck, like, it was up in Florissant, driving around. I was like, that's me. Like,
that's you. Yeah, exactly.
So I got like a whole warm and fuzzy feeling on the inside. But, you know, it was nice to see, and I want that feeling over and over and over again.
Right.
You know what's cool about that too is the fact that I remember I think it was your own truck, the AF right now, by the way, he has a sweet blue F-150 with just
filthy.
Wurtz and I were just like drooling over that thing earlier today. But he has that one, then he's also, you know, put a lift kit on, you know, you did one separately and whatnot as well, and then you did the 2. What's really cool to see about that is I remember you were like, I'll probably be at the he goes in the dealership at what? You went at like 7 or whatever, and then you were gone. You're like, I'll be gone till 7 today. Then that was a Friday. I remember Saturday you're like, I'll be gone pretty much all day too. And I remember you came home and it was like you hadn't worked at all. It was like, I went and did this and finished this, and I spent 12 hours doing it, and it was like nothing to me. You know, like that's kind of like how your mindset came home, and it was good. It was really cool to see you really care that much about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's cool too is, almost in a similar sense to like an architect or someone who does custom homes for people, you get to build people's dreams.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's pretty cool. That's really cool, because not only you're going to see the joy on their faces and whatnot, like, oh my gosh, like, he did it. He did it perfectly. This is what I saw in my mind. I told him what I wanted, and he executed it perfectly. Like, you're going to see that joy, and then that's where your joy comes from. You know, and that's pretty cool to be able to build people's dreams. I guess, in a way, we get to do that, too, with people's bodies.
Building physique, You
know? People see a body that they want in their mind, you know, or a way they want to look, or a weight that they want to hit on a certain lift or something like that, and we get to build that for them. We get to lay the path down for them to get that. So, like, again, that just comes to caring about what you do, and, like, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool opportunity for all of us, you know?
Yes, 100%.
Let's switch gears a little bit to some of the stuff we talk a lot about. Kind of going into the men's mental health and, you know, more fitness stuff will kind of come up with that.
Sure.
You said, you know, like a year ago or so, you started to get kind of in the gym, and then one of our previous episodes a few months back, it kind of woke you up a little bit. What kind of struggles have you dealt with that? Mentally, physically? Like, talk about that some.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't always... I'm not, like... I haven't been fat growing up or anything. Like, I was just kind of super skinny, and then, you know, like, college hits, and, you know, you got your college 20, I think is what...
It was like freshman 15.
Freshman 15, there we go.
Start drinking beer and stuff.
Yeah, so, you know, I just kind of lost myself.
We're fitness guys. We can't talk about beer.
Underage drinking is not okay, guys.
Yeah.
Let's just put that out real quick.
But yeah, I just kind of getting over that, like, it really just goes back to your point. Like, I just was tired of, like, waking up in the morning and just seeing the love handles, the pudge, and everything. I just, you gotta, body's a temple, as cheesy as that sounds.
Absolutely.
Like, I just, longed for that and definitely strive to, I'm still in the process for sure.
Of course. I mean, everyone is. Yeah. Everyone is. Even the, Chris Bumstead, probably the most famous bodybuilder alive right now, one of our competing bodybuilder, even he has struggles. Bradley Martin, he's got struggles, all that kind of stuff. So it's a never-ending path, which again kind of goes back to that healthy, unhealthy obsession, that kind of thing. But I think the biggest thing that you've done is you got started. You took that advice and you got started. You did something about it, and you're doing something about it. And that puts you ahead of a lot of people, because a lot of people would either, one, they're not going to look in the mirror. They're not even going to put themselves in that situation because they can't handle it mentally or something like that.
Much less a scale.
Much less a scale. Yep. Yeah. But you did that, and you took that first step. You've also reached out to us, and you two were working out a lot together, and that's a great resource for you.
Oh yeah.
I used it too, when I first got started. And you've taken advantage of that, and you're continuing to do that. It's freaking awesome, man. Like, it's awesome,
Well, on my end, what I've seen with it, I remember the gym we were going to for a while, Lift STL in Brentwood.
Sick gym.
Great gym.
Awesome gym, yeah. We were going, whatever time in the morning, 5, 6 a.m., whatever. I remember you saying after probably, a month of us, we were kind of inconsistent and whatnot, mainly because of my wake-up schedule and whatnot. I needed to get that under control.
Terrible.
But eventually when we started getting better at that and we were going, the 4 to 5 times a week in the morning, I remember you clearly saying that your days were like 10 times different if you got the lift in the morning compared to if you didn't have that in the morning. That I remember you saying that too, and I think that kicked my ass into gear a little bit, because I was like, okay, this is something I need to do for my friend. You know what I mean? And I kind of talk a little bit about that and how those days were so much different, and how you kind of battled the days where you didn't have it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, fitness definitely like brings blood movement and everything. And when I wasn't working out specifically, I just didn't feel like I accomplished anything in that day. Like, I get accomplishment when finish an engine or finish a timing job or anything like that. And when I didn't have that on those days, I'm like, man, like, I didn't do anything. Like, so it just, and I'm like a big kind of guy that just kind of holds things in. I just don't really push it out. And it would just build up. And so when I didn't have that, it just, it would climb. Yeah, and I just go into a pretty dark spot sometimes. And it was definitely nice to have that in the morning. And, first thing, like, we're going to get something done. And if nothing else good happens that day, I got to work that up.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. Because we've talked about it a few times, like, even if you wake up that day and it's like, man, like, I don't want to go today. I don't want to go. Like, my body's tired, my body's sore, mentally I'm a little cloudy. But you get up and you go anyway. And even if you just struggle through that workout, just going through the motions. Motions workouts are better than no workouts.
Oh, yeah.
And that's exactly what you're saying on those days where you didn't get in. Like, you had a productive day at work, but mentally you didn't have a productive day. So if you wake up and you get in there and you sweat and you get that blood moving, you get the muscles all pumped up, you did something. You accomplished something. And with the time you guys were going, you did it before anyone else was awake. And that's pretty cool too. Like, I don't like going that early personally. Like, if I can avoid it, I do. But it's the same thing for me. If I can get that work in before I do anything else, I'm a much better person the rest of the day. 100%. So you said something that kind of sparked my interest, Gable. You've got a quote from Jason Wilson. I don't know if you want to pull that book out real quick.
Ooh, yeah. Are you specifically talking about the stress one?
Yeah. So Sam mentioned something here, guys, that those days where he did not get a workout in, he might fall into a little bit of a darker place. And you said you're kind of a guy that likes to hold it in, and a lot of us guys are like that. That's a big issue with men, I think. Is just we have to be the tough guys. We're taught growing up, be a tough guy, don't show emotion, don't cry, all that kind of stuff. And there's truth to that, but not always, because you don't want to be someone that's super emotional all the time and gets walked over by girls or just people in general, and trying to put on a facade and a face for everyone else in the outside world. Like, I'm good, bro. I'm good, 100%. I'm good. Well, Gabel was doing his 10 pages of reading here for 75 Hard. He's reading Battle Cry by Jason Wilson.
If you haven't checked out Jason Wilson, definitely do so. That's a guy, you want to talk about men's mental health, that's a guy you should look into.
He was on Andy Frisella's podcast not too long ago. That's the first time I'd ever heard of him.
Yep.
And this book just came out. But Gabel had this interesting quote that he was like, dude, I got to read this out loud to you. So Gabel, go ahead and read that for us, please.
So it says here, guys, it says, in 2013, researchers from the Harvard School of Public Health and University of Rochester found that people who bottled up their emotions increased their chance of premature death from all causes by more than 30%, with the risk of dying from cancer increasing by 70%.
Yeah, so say those numbers again. 30%.
So 30% of premature death from all causes.
All causes.
But then you look at cancer, it's increased by almost 70%.
Yeah.
Around there.
You said that to me, and I think you probably saw my reaction like, holy cow. You know, that if that doesn't wake you up to what bottling everything in can do to you, like literally on the inside of the functionality of your body, like I don't know what will. Because that kind of woke me up, because I'm definitely someone that happens to too, where I'm just like I'm good. I'm going to handle my frustrations on my own, you know, whether it's in the gym or just like I just need some time. But that's not always the correct route to go, because without even realizing it, it can affect other things in your life, you know, work, relationships, all that kind of stuff. And before you even know it, it could be detrimental, you know, potentially to anything, you know. So what have you found is a helpful way for you to release that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah, number one, I mean, just going to the gym early. I think that getting myself moving as an ex-high school athlete, we'll just say, kind of just gets everything moving. And, like, just venting, just, like, stuff's going on. Like, you know, I think that as guys specifically, like, we're really big, like you said, holding things in. So I think anything on your mind, like, you got to say it to someone.
Right.
Now, that person could just be a brick wall, and you just kind of get it out, and you don't have anything back, but you just need to get off your chest.
Right.
And I think that, you know, especially the last 6 months, like, definitely using my crutch in that aspect for sure.
Yeah.
Those are, like, probably the two things. Like, you know, you have to release somehow.
Yeah.
And I think that whether fitness, whether just have a good friend by, I think that's the biggest thing. Because, you know, you don't want to fall into alcohol. You don't want to fall into smoking weed. You don't want to do, like, this stuff that are, you know, oh, let's just have a good time. Like, you gotta like face it forward like a bowl. Like, you don't want to just kind of, you know, drown in a bottle, as they say, or something. Like, just not good.
No,
it's not good for anything.
You're exactly right, because nothing productive will come from that path. Because that, like you just said, you have to face it. Because if you don't, you're just pushing it away for that, you know, that 8 hours that you're drunk or whatever, you know. And all it's doing is just pushing back what is inevitably coming. And if you can face it sooner rather than later, it's going to be more productive for you, because you'll find more things to find, or more things to come out of it, more things to learn, that kind of thing. Gable, what's kind of like your experience with that same thing?
So,
what'd you say?
I think one thing real quick you kind of mentioned how you've been last 6 months, especially like bringing that up and like opening up about that to me. Take into account, guys, us three, especially like me and Wurtz, me and Sam, etc., like whatever the relationship is, we're very good at, you know, sitting down and be able to utilize and talk to each other about that stuff. Like that's if I don't hide anything from anybody, it's you two, 100%. I definitely speak my mind when it comes to you guys. Like, no matter what I'm feeling, that type of stuff. And it's important. I noticed that a lot of times, if you came home from work, Sam, it was always that you got home and then you're like, man, some shit's going on today. You know what I mean? And then right away you start talking to me, and I'm like, oh, give me it, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And you, on my end, in that case, those of you that have a friend that, like, you know, might need to vent to you or something like that, be the listener. Sit there, and then whenever the advice is needed, throw it there.
Right.
And then on the other end, those of you that are looking for that, find that person again, like we talked about. Utilize that. And so in my case, on my end of things, bottling up and whatnot, I think the hardest thing, I mean, there's a few things that come into play, but I mean, of course, doing something different has always been difficult, because my family, my brother and my parents are all very book smart, and also very good in like the, not like corporate jobs, but kind of like the more like, you know, accepted realm of things, like the IT, the cybersecurity, the accounting, that type of stuff. So they're very good in that realm. They're very good at handling stuff. I've never been even close to any of that stuff. My mind just doesn't function like that a lot of times. I'm just a little bit slower than that, and that's always been a difficult thing for me to deal with. And I think especially with you two, I've always been very open about that, because both of you also didn't, like, the 4-year route of college didn't really work that well for you either.
Right.
And like, that's why I appreciate being able to talk to you guys about that, because, you know, it's hard for me to relate to somebody that, like, they just breeze through college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
because you almost, I'll just kind of like put in there, like, you almost get like a sense of guilt in a way. It's like, man, like, why couldn't I do that? Like, why didn't I do that? You know?
Oh, yeah.
Because especially at our age right now, 22, 23, 24, that kind of stuff, our friends are getting out of college those 4 years and are getting jobs right away. You know, and they're making what we see right now as decent money. And it's just like, man, like, I'm just trying to still get more hours, stuff like that, you know, and like trying to find a job coming out of the certification process or something like that. And it's almost like, makes you question. It's like, man, did I make a mistake not going to college? Like, did I make a mistake not, you know, finding a degree that I really cared about and wanted to do? Like, did I make this mistake? That's where it has to kick in. Like, no, believe in what we're doing here. Yeah, it's going to be slow at the beginning, but believe in what we're doing because it's going to pay off. And we're not going to have that 60, 80, 100, 120 grand of debt, all that kind of stuff. You know, we're not going to have kind of one path dictated. Like, okay, I have an accounting degree, so I'm going to be an accountant.
Yep.
Well, what happens when you don't like being an accountant anymore and you're 43? Not saying you can't change, because obviously there's plenty of opportunity to do something different.
Especially 100%. These days with technology.
Especially these days, especially. But if you spent all that time and effort and money on going to school for accounting, and you know you're in your 30s or 40s and you're like, man, I don't actually like doing this, you're gonna have that sense of, well, you know, I'm already 43, like I can't change paths now, like I'm old. Like, bro, no, you're not.
Yeah.
If you don't like doing it, don't do it. Find something else. Start your own accounting firm if you want. You know, be your own boss kind of thing, or go something completely different. You know, because there's something out there that you could find. So I kind of get that. You know, the 4-year thing didn't quite work for us. There's nothing wrong with that, but seeing our friends, it's almost like you just get that sense of guilt a little bit.
Yeah,
you know?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what other than like my family and like seeing them succeed in those paths, other than that is definitely like you said, the business side of things is always like, I try to just keep my head down and keep trucking. And I don't really like talk about the actual struggles of like, even like we're in the beginning stages, you know what I mean?
100%.
Like we even said before we started, we know there's gonna be more shit we're gonna deal with.
We're like pre-beginning almost is what it feels like at times.
100%, and that's hard because we're like, are we doing this right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are we taking the right steps? It's always that type of stuff. And then of course, like there's the smaller things, like, you know, since I'm single and whatnot, a lot of the times it's like, man, like how am I gonna be the right man for the right woman? That type of stuff. You know, how am I gonna find the right woman? Sure. Especially with social media and the differences with dating, that type of stuff. You know, there's of course like those three things are probably the main ones. Again, how do I like, you know, be a good man in the situation? I don't get like walked over, I guess, like if that makes sense. Like sure. I've mentioned that to you guys, and but yeah, I mean definitely the top two are the fact that it's doing something different and trying to like express that like to you guys especially. Oh, yeah. Like that's definitely like a really odd thing, and it messes with my head a ton on that realm. But I think what's really helped, like you said, like since we're doing something we love, it's so much easier. Like it is just genuinely a much easier thing to do, because you know, I come in and then I'm considering all this stuff, then we do this type of stuff, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be worth it. It really is. Of course, like we're not making millions of dollars right now, but it's like the fact that I'm enjoying myself alone, it's like that like is a good enough payment for it. I guess, so that makes sense.
And like because we're doing something we want, it makes the hard things not as bad. Yeah. Because we can kind of control it. And we understand it's like, man, when we get through this hard task or this hard, you know, fill in the blank, we're going to come out on the other side for our business so much better because of the things we're going to learn. You know, just like the giveaways examples, you know, like those types of things, like you learn from that, you know? And again, it wasn't a detrimental mistake, but you still took something away from that, you know? Yeah. And so, Gabel, like doing something different, what's an outlet that you use?
An outlet for my emotions and whatnot?
Yeah. So other than speaking it out or talking to us, what's just like one of the outlets that you use?
Yeah, of course, like fitness is always going to be one for me. That's kind of cliche because, of course, I'm in the industry and whatnot.
Sure.
Like, that's always been a thing. Of course, doing stuff I love, like I still play hockey and whatnot because I still want to stay attached to that. Honestly, another one I really do is that it sounds weird, but I mean, I'll just sit outside as much as I have the opportunity. Just sit outside, chill, have a cigar. That's one of my really guilty pleasures. I love having a cigar. And it's good to just like, sometimes it sounds going to sound funny to a lot of you, I bet, but talk to myself. I really like, sometimes I'll literally just have a conversation with myself. Like, you know, am I going about something right? I need to breathe here because it's, you know, I'm overthinking something with a girl, with our business, that type of stuff, whatever it is. And that's definitely the outlets for me, is that it's just little things, because my alone time is huge to me, and my social battery, like in the past, you've seen it, it gets depleted pretty quickly unless I'm around people I really love being around. When it's around you guys and our friends we have here, like I could go forever. You know what I mean? That's fine. But in the past, like the groups I was around were like, they were fun, but they weren't all like what I wanted exactly. And that depleted my social battery a lot of the times. And so what I'd have to do is I'd have to find my alone time, and that's been a big thing for me, is I've prioritized that a lot, and that's been huge for me. So, yeah.
And I like to think you maybe got some of that, like, being outside or talking to yourself somewhat from me.
It was especially the walks from you,
Yeah, that's one of my big ones, is going for my long walks or rucks. That's kind of one of my big outlets, because, again, I'm one that I like my alone time too, and sometimes alone time is rare. You know, it can be rare, and there's times where it's like, I just need some time. I just need some time alone. Like, it's not bad. I just need some time, you know? But the walks, and you probably remember too, this was probably a year and a half, 2 years ago maybe now. It's probably been quite that long. Where late at night, I would go on walks by myself, you know, 11, 11:30, midnight, something like that. You know, nothing crazy, not the 3 miles or anything like that, but maybe 15 minutes. And I would record stuff. You know, I would almost make like personal podcasts, which is kind of what got me into the idea of starting a podcast. Before we were kind of like, no, we should do this for the business. But anyway, I would record these things. I would send them to a few people when I wanted to, but like I would say in those podcasts, like, this is more for me to get my stuff out, you know. And it was huge for me. It was huge. And then the more and more I would send them to you, or there was just like maybe a couple other people. Not many people will get these recordings, but like, you guys would be like, dude, you need to start podcasts. Like, you need to get a microphone in front of you and publish this, you know. And that's kind of what got the wheels spinning for that. But
for sure,
like, back then, that was a huge outlet for me. It was huge. You know, I was alone. I was single, not alone, but I was single at that time. And still, we were trying to figure out what we were wanting to do as far as the business thing. I was still in school at that time, still trying to figure out my path and all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of just like emptiness in my mind, and like scared thoughts of like, what am I doing? Like, what's my purpose here? You know, what is my purpose? Everyone wants to know, what's my purpose? You know, and that's where everything I think is rooted, is finding your purpose. But that would be one of my big outlets, and it still is today, is going for those long rucks and those long walks, whether I'm not listening to anything in my ears, where I literally am talking to myself too. Guys, if you don't talk to yourself, like, it's not a weird thing to do. Talk to yourself.
It's important.
Literally have a conscious, out loud talk with yourself. You know, do that. Because, like, it'll be helpful. 100% it will. But, or if I'm listening to a podcast I enjoy, or if I'm listening to some music. Some days where I'm like, I want to hear some music. You know, that kind of thing. But you have to find those outlets, too, that are not people sometimes. Because you got to have those people, like what all three of us have talked about now. But you also got to have something that you can do on your own that'll release that.
And because you can't be around people like that 24/7.
Yeah, like, exactly.
That's not a possibility. You know what I mean?
And you don't want to put that on people 24/7 either.
Yeah,
if you're just like every day just throwing a bunch of stuff at the same person, like that's going to bear them down too. You know, because all of us, especially us three, like how our personalities are, we want to help. We want to help. We're problem solvers. You know, that's what we are. And most males are like that too, for the most part. So we get introduced with a problem. Well, what do we want to do? We want to find a solution. And that's something we've talked about too, being on the other side. I think Peyton was actually on this episode, where you can't always have the solution, and that's something as the listener that can be hard, you know. But you cannot always have the solution. Sometimes you literally just got to be ears, you know. So anyway, that's kind of us talking about our outlets there, guys. And
I think leading into someone else for Sam here too, I think one thing you kind of mentioned, that when you got started, it was a lot of, you know, people would say like, oh, you're just being a mechanic, like what are you doing type thing. How did you handle the doubts and whatnot that came along with it?
Because you had them right away, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean,
and that still come with it.
Yes, I think the biggest thing, as Kodak Black always says, tunnel vision. Tunnel vision. I know what it, but you just got to kind of roll with the punches. You know, you can't let someone, like, I'm trying to think of this quote, but this guy said, are you willing to take advice from someone that you are willing to trade places with? You know?
Or you have to be, like, if you're going to take advice from somebody, they have to be in a place you want to be in.
Trade, yes. That's what I mean. I'm sorry. So, like, you know, I didn't want to trade places with these people. Like, you know, it just, like, you can talk to me all you want. Like, you can say, oh, Sam, like, it's not going to work out. Sam, this is the dumbest thing ever. Like,
are you sure? Like,
but, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, I know what makes me happy. And, like, you guys have the passion as I do. Like, I'm going to make this work. Like, like you whispered a little bit, I'm going to be a millionaire. I tell myself that I'm going to be a millionaire. Like, this is going to make me money. I'm going to provide for my family. And I'm going to live a good life.
Exactly.
Because, you know, it's as cliche as it sounds. Like, I'm going to, you know, make all the haters just like, oh, my God. Like,
well, I mean,
you did it.
That's almost like the ultimate goal in a way, is proving people wrong.
Yes.
Whether it's a sport or your business or something else, like, that's almost a greater feeling than a paycheck.
I love what Portnoy does for that. Dave Portnoy, the creator of Barstool Sports, he like has literal champagne bottles for like who he considers his enemies.
Right.
And as dark as that sounds, it's like you kind of want to run people over.
It's a good motivating factor, and as long as you're not like an asshole about it, there's nothing wrong with it.
It also, as long as you don't get consumed by it, which anybody that's actually doing this knows it's not like the actual thing, but it's definitely like it's in the back of your head, so you can show like it's just. It's also you proving it to yourself as well, along with that.
Exactly.
You want to show it to other people, but also like you're like, I'm the man. I'm going to do this.
Right. Because if someone is giving you that hate or that doubt, it can make you question, like, man, like, can I do this? Am I capable of this? And then it's like, nah, I'm the man. Like, I'm doing this.
It's like how you and I handled that one comment on extrication. On the post. We think it was a bot, actually, looking back on it, which is even funnier. But he said, I think I just lost brain cells. And it was one of our clips from the pod or whatever. And we both, on our own personals, go and comment on it. We're like, dude, me too.
Yeah.
These guys are just idiots. Like,
I was like, I definitely just got dumber.
But it's just like, we have fun with it, too.
I was going to say, you got to have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you keep that mental whiteboard of, you know, what happened or who said what, or it's just like, you know, it's in the back of your head, but again, you can't be consumed by it.
Yep.
You know.
What struggles were you guys?
What's that?
What struggles have you guys, like, encountered, though, as far as, like, people doubting you or anything like that?
Well, I think 75 hard's a big one. We've talked a lot about it, but, you know, when you first look at the program, it's kind of like, yeah, there's no way I could do that, you know, or that's what a lot of people say, like, no way I could do that. Like, I definitely could not drink for 2.5 months, or I definitely, like, you know, when you get into the phases, I definitely couldn't take cold showers. You know, I couldn't do two workouts a day. Like, I just couldn't do that. I don't want to do that. But then you go through it, and like the first time I went through it, you know, I posted every day. I posted my progress picture, and 1 out of 75, 2 out of 75, 36 out of 75. You know, every day, all those people saw that number going up, and I knew I got to a point, probably in like the 40s or 50. This is again still the first go around last year, where I was like, yeah, there's absolutely no way I'm failing this. 100%, like I am completing this.
Yeah.
So I think, not that I've had directed doubt at that specifically, but there's so many people that tell themselves, oh, I can never do that, that you do it then, and you prove not only to yourself that you could do that, but you prove to them, like, this is possible.
Yeah.
And, like, it's kind of funny you brought this up, or that I'm bringing this up. When I completed it that time, I posted, like, a 7.5 minute video on Instagram. I posted, like, a little TikTok that I made of the transformation, all that kind of stuff. But the next day, I posted this, like, 7.5 minute where I flipped the camera around and I talked about my experience. And the other day, I actually watched it. It was like 2 days ago, just because I was kind of curious. Like, I kind of wonder what I said. Like, I knew some things I had said, but watching myself in that video, it kind of like re-woke me up to some of the things that I had learned that first go around. Because, you know, I've completed it a second time. Gabel's on his way to completing it a second time. You learn different things each time. You know, and that first time felt like it was going to be the most profound one. Just like, wow, like I've never done something like this. And I think that I mostly had self-doubt. So to kind of answer your question, like it was a lot of self-doubt because I'd always been, not always, but I, up to that point, had been the fat guy and the guy that was just snacking all the time and not doing anything productive and not drinking like crazy, but drinking and whatnot, and just, you know, didn't really have a direction. Well, that kind of like kicked me in the rear, you know, like I'd gotten into fitness with him and whatnot, and then doing that, it was just a lot of self-doubt. So it was a lot of proving it to myself, not necessarily to someone else. But I watched that video, and it was kind of cool to see that guy in the video. Obviously, it was myself, but see that guy in the video and how excited I was, and like how profound of changes that I had found for myself. Like, I could see it in my own eyes, and like that was cool. And I was like, man, like I want to just give that off all the time. I want other people to be able to see that in me, you know. And I know you could, Gable. We weren't that close yet. We've probably only known each other a couple years total, maybe, just through him, you know, meeting. But like, I know you could see that in me, Gable, throughout that first journey, and just that person that I was when I came out of it, you know.
Definitely.
So, and there's been few little snippets from people that are, you know, doubt and whatnot, but I think most of it comes from within my own head.
Okay.
Yeah, that's for
just kind of manufacturing self-doubt. And as I said earlier, like, there's healthy with that, but there's also a lot of unhealthy with that, for sure. So there's like a fine line that you have to stay on with self-doubt, because a lot of it's manufactured. A lot of it is situations and scenarios that you create in your own head that then freak you out. You know, just like you were a little nervous to come on the show today. It was your first time ever being on a podcast. What you were doing in your head was you were probably like, oh, what are they going to ask me? Like, how am I going to answer? What are we going to talk about? Like, I want to know. So you're creating these scenarios like, man, what if I sound dumb? Or what if I mess up my words? Like, do you have any idea how many times him and I have, like, messed up our words or, like, fumbled over our words and stuff?
You'd think it's a butcher shop in here.
Yeah. So you create these scenarios and situations in your head that you're then causing self-doubt that's unnecessary, or sometimes, a lot of times, unrealistic. You know?
I mean, early on, for sure, with extrication, I would say one of the hardest things was when we first got started, especially, it was just very... Whether somebody told you, why are you spending so much time on this or whatever, I got that a couple times, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
But
for sure.
It's also whenever I told somebody about it, it was like the doubt was so palpable. Like, I could just see it in their eyes.
Like, okay, dude, you'll start your own business.
And that type of thing. Yeah. And
that's the worst.
That pissed me off beyond belief.
Yeah.
I remember thinking that, and I'm like, okay, I'll remember that one.
Watch.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, to me, it's like hearing that and just feeling the doubts that have come along with that and whatnot. It's just like, man, I cannot. Ooh, like it's one of those things that just sets me off. You know what I mean? Because I know I can feel how, like, you know, doubtful you are about it, and then I can see in your own life how miserable you are.
Exactly.
And then I'm like, wow, nice job, buddy. Like, you just shit on somebody that is actually trying to do something productive in this world.
Right.
Which doesn't happen much these days, by the way.
No, it doesn't.
Most of the
time,
that's
not the way that our government and society wants us to go.
And especially not how men have been going these days a lot of times too.
Right.
You know, and it's just like one of those things. Like, I sat back and I'm like, okay, I remember you when comes back around and you're all of a sudden you're DMing me for help and whatnot.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Right.
Like, I'll keep that in mind. But it's like, that was always hard because early on, especially, like, now it's just like I ignore people like that. I don't really care. Early on, I was like, man, these people, like, everybody just doesn't believe in us. You know, I thought every single person on planet Earth didn't believe in us and whatnot. Looking back on it, it's like, okay, really, like, it was probably people, like, heard about us and then just didn't really think much else about us or whatever, and that's it.
And I will say, too, I think both of us were somewhat pleasantly surprised by the amount of support we did get right off the beginning. You know, off the rip there, like, not to
ignore that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure.
There was and still is every day tons of support for it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the reason people doubt when someone wants to start their own business, so we're all in this situation, is that person can't see your dream. You know, even Sam, you can't see our dream how we see it. We can't see yours. You know, not because we're in separate realms of the world, but just because we have our dream for this company, this brand, and the life that we want, just like you have yours. So I think a lot of the reason people, why you spend so much time on that, or why do you care so much about that, or how are you going to do that, or why are you doing this, or, you know, etc., is because, well, we have our dream. We can look up and, like, I can see that future. I can literally see what the building will look like, what the brand will look like, all that kind of stuff. And it's not their fault, but they can't see that. We can try to make them understand, but they'll never be able to see that. So I think that's a big part of the reason, like, yeah, okay, dude, like, yeah, you do that. You know, they'll say something like that, which on the surface is like, yeah, I'm supporting you. Like, yeah, hey, good luck, man. Like, you do that. Internally, they're like, yeah, there's no way they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Because they could never do it. And that's what you just said, is you can see how miserable they are in their own life, so they take it out on us.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where a lot of hate comes from, I think.
Leading into another question for you, Sam, is along those lines. How do you differentiate yourself as a man in today's society with how much, you know, because, again, we talked about how testosterone levels are at an all-time low for history and whatnot, how much different we are from our dads and whatnot, that type of stuff, and our grandpas, that, etc. how do you differentiate yourself as a man and continue on that path, even though, kind of like the mediocrity it's pretty common. And a lot of times it's very enticing is the word for it.
Yeah.
Like you kind of want to get pulled in. It's just like, let me just sit in this job and then do that. Yeah. And, not get into real estate, not continue to pursue louder lifted, that type of stuff. How do you differentiate yourself in the mediocrity?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing was definitely how I was raised in that aspect. Strong father figure, just kind of pushing me in that realm, and just trying to stay true. I think it's answering so just staying true, like, to who I am. Like, there's social media in itself can influence anyone.
Oh, yeah.
So,
positively or negatively.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, kind of pausing on that, the quote that we looked up the other day, like, whoever controls social media controls the world.
Yeah, it's like whoever controls the media controls the world. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
absolutely. George Soros.
Yeah.
And I think...
Great guy.
Klaus Schwab, yeah. God.
And I think they're pushing... Oh, look out. A lot of the, beta male mentality. And they're like, social media is portraying that. And, like, guys are like, oh, like, let's just, soft down and everything. But I think this time especially... men need to be men. Yeah. Because we're in, like, almost a very shaky time coming up.
Not almost. We absolutely are.
We're diving into that. So I think that, you can't let little stuff get to you.
Well, the last 2 weeks of prices are kind of indicating that we're really starting to come up on something.
Inflation's going up.
Dude, we're crazy. At like $4.50 a gallon right now. I paid yesterday.
Yeah, and that's in Missouri. So I can't imagine how
California.
East Coast,
New York,
West Coast, California are. Yeah, 100%.
Right. Well, and along with, like the beta male thing, it's like we touched on this a second ago. It's just the world is preaching mediocrity and is preaching the easy route, and people almost laugh at, the easy route, won't get you anywhere. The hard path is where you become the best version of yourself. That literally couldn't be truer nowadays. Like, we all have a very clear choice. Do I go this easy route that everyone's doing? It's the cool thing to do, to go down this route, or like what we're trying to go is down this other one, where it's going to be harder, it's going to be tougher, it's going to be a lot more work, it's going to be a lot less sleep, and a lot more, longer days, and all that kind of stuff that comes with, being a business owner and creating your own business. You got a decision. And you don't have to open your own business to go through this, but you can just literally personal excellence. I can't coin that term. Andy Frisella talks about that all the time, and that's what he preaches a lot, but it's so true. It is so true, is becoming the best possible version of yourself. And if everyone can do that, like, we can win this. Yeah. We can win this, whether it's an election or just winning back the society that we all want, so that we can all flourish and be successful, and that the country can do those things as well. And the world, and going down this easy path, that's not how we get there.
Yeah. Well, I think what's so disappointing to me a lot of the times is that the same people who talk about the problems in our world, we've talked about the solutions and whatnot and how to bring those forth. It's so interesting because people that bitch the most about it and whatnot, they sit there and then don't improve their own lives, because it's like they just completely ignore the fact that if I can be weak and I can just talk and whine about these situations. It's like you actually have to work on yourself so you can be useful in the solutions, whether you're on whatever side. Yeah. But again, I mean, it's like talking and bringing real people into the fold when it comes to our society today, and really getting them to run the country. And that type of stuff. If I could run, honestly, like, I would totally look into it. Like, I really would, just because like I really want to try to make an impact. But like, a lot of things go into that: money, following, that type of stuff, etc. But anyways,
age.
Well, age. I mean, we're a little young for that.
Right.
But I mean, it's just that's what's so disappointing a lot of the times, just because so many times the people I see whining the most about it and post on their Instagram stories, they just post their Instagram stories and then they don't go and better themselves. Right. That bothers the shit out of me, because it's like you cannot just talk about something and whine about something going on in society if you're just going to sit back like this and not do anything about it.
Because you're a part of the problem. Yeah. You're complacent in that. Yes. You are complacent in that, in it falling apart. Yeah. And
there's so many excuses. There's the there's the privilege. There's I mean, it wouldn't fit into my schedule. That type of stuff. It's like, make time. Yeah. And make time.
That, like, literally 75 hard teaches you how much time you have in your day. Yeah. Too. Like. Yep. It just does.
And that means anything. You go on there's so many other programs similar to it out there too. If you want to go on one of those too, whatever. But find something that shows you, again, that challenges you, because then it shows how much of an impact you can make in your own life, and then invest in those things you're passionate about.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's scary too. It's just, I don't know. I get senses of hypocritical, like me being hypocritical at times. Like I feel like I'm pretty good at catching myself, you know, if I'm complaining about something or not doing something or whatever. Like I feel like I can sense myself like, okay, am I qualified to say this because I'm not doing anything about it? You know, but like we've done this with the podcast. Like we're trying to use our voice, bring awareness to certain things, and I guess other people just don't feel that. You know, like, oh, I'm just going to sit here and complain about the country, but no, I'm not going to go to the school board meeting.
And that's the thing, though, Wurtz, what you just said there. We're doing it with the podcast, but we're also doing it by continuing to try and make more money. So then in turn, we can invest in the things we talk about.
Right.
By the way, like we talked about with, you know, the different like adoption clinics and whatnot, improving the adoptions and improving the foster care. We're going to put our money into that stuff.
Right.
But again, like that's something we're improving ourselves so we can make more money, make ourselves better so we can invest into that stuff.
Exactly.
And we're also talking about it right now. So we're doing what we can right now.
Right.
Those again, we talked about that are on the lower end of things, you know, like lower, like you might be in poverty, that type of stuff. Use the voice.
Yeah.
It seems like I think damn near everybody except for like homeless people in the United States have phones.
Yeah.
Right? Would I be wrong?
Yeah,
in guessing that like,
even inmates have it now.
Inmates have TV and everything now. So it's like, my gosh, I mean, you can. That's the thing. Even in like prison, you can make an impact by, you know, maybe you start praying, like having a prayer circle with all the other inmates and whatnot. And you start getting them more into like, I mean, it's crazy because there is, no matter at what stage you're at, what privilege you have or whatever, there's always some kind of step you can take.
Right.
And honestly, until I see that, I don't really respect talking to you about like stuff going on in the world a lot of the times. Right. Like as you know, as harsh as that might sound to some of you, but like you have to be working on yourself. Like it's asinine to believe that your opinion means so much when you just kind of like, tap, post a story, and then leave it there, and that's it. Right. Your Instagram story or whatever.
Right.
Well, when you have your minimum wage workers complaining for more money. But minimum wage jobs are for like retired people and people in high school or like college kids or whatever, or like someone in between jobs. It's not supposed to be a personal, like a long-term job.
Right.
Like you're supposed to be in and out. And that's it.
It's either supposed to be like a first job or something to keep you busy when you're old. Which is
exactly, like a second job. And like you said, take the money you make the minimum wage job to get yourself out of the minimum wage job.
Exactly.
Right? And as COVID taught us anything, blue collar jobs. Amazing right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know everything was shutting down. So, but you know construction workers, they weren't shutting down. Linemen, welders, anything.
People
they
were still
working.
driving.
Yeah.
You know?
So like you gotta open up your eyes and like definitely. There's so much like we're the best land ever. Mm-hmm. America's amazing. Mm-hmm. So much land of opportunity. You know, invest, do something to like better yourself, make a ton of money because. Anyone can make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Truckers can make money.
Yeah, absolutely.
Welders, whatever.
Make a lot of money.
And I think COVID specifically, like that's one thing that just trips me up. Like blue collar jobs need to be everyone needs to be looking at them.
Well, and just you have to invest in new skills for yourself. Yes. Which is what you're essentially saying. Mm-hmm. You have to invest in skills for yourself, whether that's a physical skill or a mental skill, you know, because all of that falls in line. Boom, there's the bigger paycheck. Boom, there's the better life. There's the relationship, the family, all that kind of stuff that you're wanting. But working at McDonald's and complaining about working at McDonald's is not going to get you to that.
Yep.
You know, be the best person at McDonald's, get yourself out of there, or get promoted from within. You know, find a good company that you want to work at, start at the bottom, work your way through, become the best possible worker for that company, and you will get to there.
Yep.
You know, and it's harder and it's scarier. But that's what we're talking about, guys. Like, you cannot just always take that easy path. Like, you have to take that hard path because the life that you're wanting is down that path. It's not down this one. It's down this one. 100%, you know?
Yeah, and guess what? You might have to make some hard decisions along the way. Stuff's going to suck so we can avoid shit like COVID again.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not getting locked down again. That's not happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you guys know that. I'm sure you already knew that by now, but it's not happening. It's like that's the thing. We got to make steps so that doesn't happen again. Because if you don't know by now, it was obvious. Like Sam and I said, the media controls the world.
Yeah.
Obviously, so they pushed the stuff to BS us, and it came out all of a sudden. 2 years later, oh, we were wrong, but still trust us. It's like, no, guys, let's stop this shit now and stop playing the game.
Right.
Let's be real honest here because it just, if we want to turn this around, I mean, we can either wait for them to completely have us, bent over the barrel basically,
and
completely screwed, where we have no rights, no job, like they're monitoring everything we do,
right.
or we can stop it now.
Yep.
That's your choice.
Right.
And I say your choice because everybody needs to do it. Sometimes there's going to be hard choices in life, especially if gas is $4.50 a gallon and food is going up by 30% every single week or whatnot. Sometimes there's going to be hard choices. Yeah. Sometimes you're going to have to set some food aside in case stuff does hit the fan and whatnot.
Right.
Sometimes you're going to have to make a hard choice in your own life, whether you have kids, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're in poverty, that type of stuff, to make something happen so you can help yourself avoid those situations and then make people better around you too.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't have anything else, man. That was pretty sick. I think that was a really good way for us to end. We do have a Q&A question. We did have it submitted by a buddy of mine. Sam, you're the guest, so you'll be first here.
Okay.
Who is your celebrity crush and why?
So easy. Jennifer Aniston. Like,
okay.
I know it's like a typical, but like
MILF guy.
God, what is that movie with Adam Sandler and they're going on?
I know exactly
Hawaii?
what you're talking about. Yep. I don't know what it's called.
It's not Murder Mystery.
No,
that's Italy. They go to Italy.
Oh man. Anyway, there's a scene. Mom, I know you're listening. I apologize. But like, I'm just saying, she like takes off her little shirt or whatever, and then begging, like that song was going, and I was like, oh my god, like, this woman. And so Jennifer Aniston, like,
there you go.
Just
that's
certified
a good
baddie, certified love her.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Gable, let's hear it.
Oh man, if I'm going like, are we going like A-list celebrities? Like, is that where we're like
just
sticking around?
Yeah, celebrity crush.
If we go A-list, I'd say Margot Robbie, 100%.
That's a good.
That scene in Wolf of Wall Street. Wow, that's disrespectful. Okay, whatever. Anyways,
he just likes the daddy's little girl shirt from Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah, hers Harley Quinn is game over, dude. Game over. And then the scene in Wolf of Wall Street where she has like his foot on his head and whatnot. Oh,
that was nice.
No.
That was nice.
Oh
gosh.
No,
man, all of it's coming out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Mine is she's not as well known, and this is probably getting me in trouble with Peyton, but Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld is my celebrity crush. Always has been. I don't know. She's not one of like the most popular ones, but I've just always thought she was beautiful and she's funny. She can sing. She's a good actress and all that kind of stuff. She's good in Pitch Perfect. Like, I don't know. Haley Steinfeld.
Nice.
That'd be my pick.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That was so funny.
More better than Margot Robbie.
Is it too basic for you? Is that
so overused.
So overused. Man, come on.
And Jennifer Aniston isn't?
No.
I mean, if I had to go second, it would be Rihanna. 100%.
Hey, she just had a kid.
Yeah.
Chris Brown.
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Damn.
Sorry.
Yeah, but Chris isn't a big fan of her, that's for sure. That's
He posted. He posted though.
What? What do you mean?
He posted like, I'm happy. Like, congratulations on your baby.
Really?
That's some next level toxic
that's
shit.
like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
That's some low key stuff right there. I love it.
Well, guys, our second guest episode has been officially done now. Mr. Sam James, guys, it was a fun episode. Sam, it was a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the first podcast you've ever been on, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Because
We're number one.
It's not a huge deal at all. Yeah. It's,
Joe Rogan, look out.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Rogan's going to go down hard.
Rogan's going to be on our podcast.
Yeah. He's going to be running technology for us.
Yeah, right.
But,
guys, anyway, we hope you enjoyed this. We had a great time bringing this to you. Again, it was a long time coming. We've been wanting to get Sam on here for a long time. We have a really good list of people we will bring on and whatnot. But, guys, let us know if you have any questions, comments, all that kind of stuff on this episode. Continue submitting those Q&As. We're having a lot of fun with them. And as you see, we'll bring them to our guests as well when we have them on. I'm good if you guys are, yeah?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace and love. Boom. We're done, baby.
We're all. Yeah. See ya.
Ugh.
Oh, man. We were sitting.